Hey, I'm back. So it's been a bit more than 2 months this time, but I've actually worked on a lot of different things. So if I don't want to make a 30-minute video, I think we're gonna get right to it. Let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Citadel, once again after a hiatus of 8 months. Anyways, first thing I want to show you guys is the lobby. So there's been a lot of things that have changed in the past, 8 months, and I'll have to go through them very quickly. So lobby, there's been a lot of improvement in performance, but the thing I want to show is as well these two new modules. So we have this thing over here and this one over here. They are now not populated by NPCs, but they will be eventually, and you'll be able to get a bestiary as well as some side quest, side content kind of thing. So yeah, that is the new lobby. So the performance are a lot better. It is now in par with the rest of the game instead of being a lot more expensive in terms of performance than the rest of the game. If we jump in, we are going to see that there is a lot of new stuff in the game. Mainly, we but we added a lot of new passives. I can't really show you guys the passives in here, of course, they're just part of a bigger database. We have now over 85 passives, sorry, and we also have new actives abilities. But the thing I want to show you guys is mainly two of the weapons, two things relating to weapons. The first one is we got a new weapon, which is called the Shredder, which is this weapon right here, which is a weapon that bounces. So it has kind of a ricochet kind of thing going on with it. It's super fun to use. It is called a Shredder, and yeah, pretty fun. Second thing is what I had just previously is the melee weapons. So I have, since the last playtest, we had some feedback regarding the melee weapons, and I was kind of expecting it because the melee weapons weren't that, advanced in terms of mechanics. You only had your slashes and a block. So what I added is every melee weapon has a unique attack relating to it. So for example, this weapon here, the blade, if I hold my blocking attack and then I attack, I'm going to do a whirlwind spin. And if I go back in here and change my garden blade for the Fiend Crusher, I'll have instead this overhead attack that blows up. So we got unique attack for each of the weapons, but that is not all. We actually reworked a lot of the stuff for the weapons, especially for early game, because people that were playing melee in early game, it was kind of rough. So we rebalanced a lot of stuff. We changed how the blocking works. I'm going to explain that in a second. We added a parry mechanic, and we can also now charge our attacks. So if I charge my attack, I'll get, of course, a stronger attack, plus I'll shoot out a beam of energy, which will help for melee players to be able to take out aerial enemies. So I talked about parry mechanics and blocking. So we reworked both of those things pretty wildly. So the first thing I want to show you guys is the blocking. So blocking previously, we didn't care from what source the damage was coming from. Basically, if you held the blocking, it would just half the damage you would be taking. The first thing I wanted to do is, of course, make it so that you can only block things that are coming from the front, and also certain attacks that can't be blocked. For example, the black hole for the Scorched Sentinel, the first boss, you shouldn't be able to block that attack. It doesn't make sense. So now there is a category of attacks that can be blocked and a category of attack that can't be blocked. The second thing is, instead of blocking 50% of the damage, I'm actually blocking 100% of the damage, but you might notice that my stamina bar is, well, my dash bar, as it was previously called, is going down. Right now, this is an enemy that is level 0, so of course he's not going to be able to deplete my stamina bar, but as you can see, it is going to go down, and it's basically a shield, if you can say. So if I take a lot of attacks or stronger attacks, eventually that stamina bar is going to go down to 0, and then I'll be taking damage directly. But if I block it, it is 100% blocked. Second thing is, I can parry them. So if I time my block correctly, oops, let's go. Nope, missed it. There we go. I can parry them, it's going to knock them back, and it's going to leave them open for me to attack them. So parry mechanics are being implemented. Now, it won't consume any of your stamina if you time it correctly. It's going to knock people back if they attack you melee. Of course, if it's a ranged attack, you'll be able to parry it, so you won't deplete your stamina, but you won't be able to, stun the attacker, of course. So lots of stuff has been reworked to make sure that the melee weapons feel great, especially in the early game. Aside from that, we also worked on a lot of stuff regarding the weapons. So all of the weapons that we have, of course, the different ranks. You know, we have white and then green, blue, etc., etc. One of the issues that we had is if you take a weapon like this one at 97 percentile, why would you spend a lot of your crystals to upgrade this one to 100? It's only 3% more, so it's not going to be a huge delta in terms of actual firepower. So you'll probably spend it elsewhere, like in passives or stuff like that. So we wanted to push players to spend those extra credits. So what we did is we added special mechanics to pure weapons. So for example here, I have the Molten Judgment. Do I have a non-pure one here? No. So the Molten Judgment, normally it's just a shotgun, but if you get it to pure, it's going to unlock an additional mechanic. For example, for the Molten Judgment, it's going to create a cone of fire behind it. So if you shoot the target, it's going to actually do damage to the target behind it. Well, that's crystalline, that's another thing. But you can see that I'm actually damaging the second dummy even if I'm firing on the first one. And this is only going to be unlocked when you have a pure weapon. We have all sorts of pure weapon, for example, Immolator here. The fire, instead of being red, it's going to be blue, and it's going to leave some fire on the ground for a lot longer, so you can create like those zones of just, you know, pure damage. So all of the weapons have modifiers on them when they reach pure. Another thing is we added a new enemy. I was very fortunate to have the help of a 3D artist. I'll link in the description, is Artstation. He's super great. He was able to create this model right here, which is an enemy called the Ardens. That enemy is going to be our strongest flying enemy in the game. So he has basically two main mechanics. If I start the game here, the first one, and I'll actually drop myself some weapons so I can shoot him down afterwards. So he's going to charge an attack and then throw. Pretty devastating attack. Of course, again, I am at level 0, so they're not dealing a whole lot of damage, but in a normal match, these enemies are not going to be appearing before World 2. So they are going to be dealing a lot of damage. I'll heal myself really quickly, and the second thing that it can do, aside from, of course, teleporting, is this thing here, which is a Toxic Rain. It's going to slow you down as well as dealing damage, so you really want to get out of that Toxic Rain. Now, if I kill him, I'll just leave him to teleport. And he's going to blow up. Woo! Boom. So a new enemy that's going to be spawning in later stages. We talked about, last update, we talked about the Arc Fiend, which is this like goat that creates curses. I'm still reworking it at the moment because I noticed that it's still lacking. He's kind of done. So we're gonna still work on that. But yeah, for the enemies, we have one brand new enemies and a lot of rebalancing for the ones that we previously had in terms of timing for their attacks. To be more clear as well with the players when they're actually going to be attacking. For example, the Scouto Demon now has kind of like a charge up sequence to its attack. You can see here. Zoop, and then he fires, instead of just firing directly. So lots of stuff to be able to communicate better with the player. Next thing is World 1. So we're going back to World 1, I know. But I actually reworked a lot of World 1. So we were using some assets that are not well known, but they're part of other games as well, and I wanted to really make them stand out and be unique to the Last Citadel. So I reworked everything, every texture that was inside of World 1. So now it is a lot more thematic with the rest of the game. So if I full screen this, you're gonna see that it looks a lot more, you know, cell shading, cartoony, Borderlandsy than previously, and it fits a lot better with the rest of the game. So a lot of work has been done in World 1 to make sure that it fits with the other worlds. There's still some work to be done in World 1 because we've not done the exterior facades of any of the buildings. So if we have a building that faces outwards, we can still see those buildings from the outside, which doesn't look good. That will, of course, eventually be part of a bigger castle, basically. So this still needs to be done, but the rest of the World 1, I'm very satisfied with. Aside from World 1, we actually also have a version 1 of World 3. So last time that we talked, I was working on World 2, Act 2, and now we finally have a World 3 set up. It is still a version 1, so there's still work to be done, but you're going to see that there was a lot to be done. So if I just simulate this for now, full screen this, you're going to see a lot of things here. First of all, we are in a pocket dimension, so if we look at the sky, you're going to see no black hole. You're actually going to see a bunch of nebulas, some shooting stars. It's really a beautiful skybox here. Aside from that, we have a lot of floating meteorites, or floating islets, if I can call them. We made them so that they are generated, so this is part of the decor. We can place them, we can place a bunch of them so that every time that we're going to create a map, it's always going to look nice. So all of these big rocks in the background here, those we can generate a map through them, and then they're just going to be removed. And these things have like the electricity going around them. They are generating on runtime these little rocks that are floating around it. We also have these rainbow bridges that are connecting all of the little islets, and a lot of floating rocks. We really want to have something that's going to look unique here. And it's very different from the rest of the aesthetic of the game because it's very colorful, as you can probably tell. So we have these demonic light sources. We have other ones like this that are creating beautiful shadows. And we have this ethereal looking grass. And even the rocks on the ground, if we look for them, we can see that there's going to be some like some lights that are going through them, like, you know, thundery things are going around them. So lots and lots has been done to make World 3 really look unique. And we finally have a V1. Of course, there's not a whole lot of modules. So right now we actually have the exact minimum amount of modules so that we can generate comfortably when we're creating the map. But there's going to be a lot more to be done in World 3, but it is now playable, and we can now, you know, test out the balancing of the game for later stages. And that's it. We are getting near probably the third and probably final playtest. It should be coming near the end of summer. We are currently in the process of looking for a publisher, so there's going to be a lot of different changes that are coming, but basically the game is in its final stages. We have almost all of the mechanics, all of the systems that we need for the initial release of the game. So lots to be excited for. We are thinking about probably another good year to finish the game. So it'll probably come the initial release next summer, basically next year. But yeah, playtest should be coming soon. There's definitely going to be more news that are going to be coming in the couple of weeks / months. I'll also be uploading 2 videos that I should have uploaded a while back. The first one is from Demo Night, which is an event that highlighted a lot of indie games in Quebec. So I'll be uploading the sequence where Honest Demon, basically the Last Citadel, appeared. And I'll also be uploading a interview that I did. It's going to be in French, but a interview that I did on Twitch a while back as well. And I'll maybe try to make another video until then. Alright, take care.